The background and motivation of the 5 men who planned and executed the heist. The heist we are talking about is the one that took place in Dresden, Germany, on November 25, 2019. It was one of the biggest jewelry heists in history, as the thieves stole 18th-century jewels worth about £100 million, $113.8 million, from the Green Vault Museum. The jewels included a diamond-encrusted sword, a jeweled brooch and the famous 49-carat Dresden white diamond. But who were the men behind this daring robbery? And what drove them to risk everything for a handful of shiny stones? The 5 men who were convicted over the heist were all members of a notorious criminal gang known as the Remo clan. The Remo clan is a large family of Lebanese origin that has been involved in various crimes in Germany, such as drug trafficking, money laundering and violent assaults. The clan is estimated to have about 500 members, many of whom live in Berlin. The leader of the heist was Abdul Majid Remo, a 32-year-old who had a long criminal record and was wanted by the police for another robbery. He was joined by his cousins Mohammed Remo, 22, and Wissam Remo, 24, who also had previous convictions. The other 2 accomplices were Ahmed R., 23, and Dennis W., 27, who were not related to the Remo clan but had ties to them through other crimes. The motivation of the 5 men was simple: greed. They wanted to get rich quickly by selling the jewels on the black market or melting them down for their precious metals. They did not care about the historical and cultural value of the jewels, which were part of Saxony's royal heritage and had been collected by Augustus II the Strong in the early 1700s. The 5 men planned the heist for months, studying the museum's security system and layout. They also had help from an insider, who has not been identified yet, who gave them information access to the museum. They used tools such as an axe, a hydraulic jack and a ladder to break into the museum through a window. They also set fire to a nearby power transformer to disable the alarm system and CCTV cameras. The heist took only minutes, as the thieves grabbed the jewels from 3 display cases and fled in a getaway car. They later burned the car and switched to another vehicle. They also tried to cover their tracks by throwing some of the jewels into a river and deleting their phone data. However, their plan was not flawless. They left behind DNA traces, fingerprints and other clues that led the police to their identities. They also made mistakes such as using their real names to rent cars and hotel rooms, and contacting potential buyers online. The police arrested 4 of them in December 2019, while Abdul Majid Remo remained on the run until March 2020, when he was captured in Berlin. The trial began in November 2020 and lasted for 7 months, with more than 100 witnesses testifying. On May 16, 2023, a German court found all 5 men guilty of serious gang robbery and aggravated arson. They were sentenced to prison terms ranging from 4 to 6 years. The court also ordered them to pay €21.5 million, $26 million, in damages to Saxony's state treasury. However, most of the jewels have not been recovered yet. Only 17 pieces out of more than 100 have been found so far. The police suspect that some of them may have been sold abroad or hidden by other members of the Remo clan. The heist remains one of the most spectacular and audacious crimes in recent history. It also shows how a group of greedy and ruthless men can cause irreparable damage to a priceless cultural treasure. The aftermath and consequences of the heist, including how they were caught and what happened to the loot. The heist was not a perfect crime. The thieves made several mistakes that led to their downfall. One of them was leaving behind a partially eaten sandwich in a trash can near the vault. The police were able to extract DNA from the sandwich and match it to a known criminal named Leonardo Notarbartolo, who was the leader of the gang. Notarbartolo was arrested in Italy and extradited to Belgium, where he confessed to his role in the heist. Another mistake was leaving behind a videotape that showed the gang members scouting the vault before the robbery. The tape was found by a retired diamond trader who rented an office near the vault. He recognized some of the faces on the tape and alerted the police. The police were able to identify 4 other members of the gang, Pietro Tavano, Ferdinando Finato, Elio Denorio and Speedy Pepe. They were all arrested in Italy and extradited to Belgium as well. The third mistake was underestimating the security of the vault. The thieves thought they had disabled all the alarms and sensors, but they missed one, a heat sensor that detected their presence inside the vault. The sensor triggered a silent alarm that alerted the police, who arrived at the scene shortly after the thieves had left. The police found a hole in the floor of the vault and a ladder leading to a tunnel that connected to a nearby sewer. They followed the tunnel and found bags of diamonds and jewels that the thieves had dropped or abandoned along the way. The fourth mistake was trusting their accomplices. The thieves had hired two other men to help them with the heist, Nazar Trabelsi, a former professional soccer player who drove the getaway car, and Marc Bertaldi, a French businessman who arranged the sale of the loot. Trabelsi and Bertaldi betrayed the gang and kept most of the loot for themselves. Trabelsi was arrested in France and extradited to Belgium, where he admitted his involvement in the heist. Bertaldi was arrested in Morocco and extradited to France, where he claimed he had sold some of the loot to an unknown buyer. The fifth mistake was being too greedy. The thieves had stolen more than they could handle. They had taken about 123 out of 160 safety deposit boxes in the vault, containing an estimated $100 million worth of diamonds, gold, jewelry and other valuables. They had also taken some personal items that belonged to diamond traders, such as passports, photos and letters. These items were not only worthless to them, but also made them easier to trace. The final outcome of the heist was disappointing for both sides. The thieves were sentenced to prison terms ranging from 5 to 10 years, but they only served about half of their sentences before being released on parole. The police recovered only about 20% of the loot, most of which was returned to its rightful owners. The rest of the loot remains missing or unaccounted for, possibly hidden or sold on the black market.